Okay, so today we are going to speak about the manifestations of God. So who are those manifestations? It's not just about the Baha'i or the Spiritist. We are going to speak in general as well. We are going to listen for slots on Hooper Dunbar, the manifestation of God. He speaks about Bahá'u'lláh, but as he's mentioned himself, he is reflecting also all the manifestations, right? So we can also speak, if some of you have the knowledge also of previous prophets like Jesus, right? Or Buddha or Krishna. So we can also put everything together in one place. We're trying to simplify also for ourselves and for the people who are watching, right? So what I'm going to begin with is with a prayer, because we really need it. So I prepared one Baha'i and one Spiritist. Is it okay for you? I'm going to begin with the Baha'i, right? So let me find this. Okay. I made it big for you, Payam, if you can, please.
O Lord our God, we are helpless. Thou art the Lord of strength and power. We are wretched. Thou art the Almighty, the All-Glorious. We are poor. Thou art the All-Possessing, the Most Generous. Graciously assist us in our servitude to thy sacred threshold, and aid us through thy strengthening grace to worship thee at the dawning places of thy faith. Enable us to diffuse thy holy fragrances amongst thy creatures, and strengthen our loins to serve thee amidst thy servants, so that we may guide all nations to thy most great name, and lead all peoples to the shore of the glorious ocean of heaven.
Wow. I love the way you read it. I love it. So, Ery, please.
Okay, let's go. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be the name. Lord, we believe in thee because everything about us reveals our goodness and your power. The harmony of the universe is proof of a wisdom, a prudence, and a foresight, which surpasses all human faculties. The name of a being who is supremely great and wise is writing on all the worlds of creation, for the humble grass and the smallest insect up to the stars and planets in space. On all sides we see proof of a paternal solicitude. Blind then is the one who does not recognize it. Your works. Prideful is the one who does not worship you, and ungrateful is the one who does not give thanks to you.
Thank you, Ery. Wow. So let us begin from minute 4. So we're going to watch 2 minutes of this, and it is about the best beloved. Just confirm that you are listening well, okay? Is it good? Let me, have you heard it?
Dishes that are on our banquet
Okay.
It's okay?
Okay.
table that we couldn't have imagined in the past. Shoghi Effendi mentions the intimacy Baha'u'lláh reveals to us, describes to us the moments in which he received divine revelation, which his mission was assigned to him when he was in the darkness and misery of the Sayyid Shah. And he describes how the personation of his name, the All-Glorious, this Maid of Heaven, which is really an embodiment of his own spirit, addresses him. And this, I think, is one of the signs of God's humility and modesty, that he creates a figure who points to Baha'u'lláh. Rather than having Baha'u'lláh say, "O people, I am the beloved of the worlds. Turn ye all towards me." He has the Maid of Heaven, this gorgeous creature that he's suggested to us, that addresses us and points to him and says, he's the one. He's the best beloved of God. And then he describes that torrent of water, of spiritual divine knowledge and water, which poured over him from on high and transformed him, and how in those moments people could hardly bear to hear the words and the verses which poured forth from his lips. He refers to this several times in the course of his writings.
Okay. So, can you please, Payam, he said that the best beloved, in your experience in the Baha'i Faith, and how can you explain this as the best beloved? What is he referring to exactly?
Well, the manifestations of God are what for us, which we are, as we were discussing last time, we are in a way debarred. We can't approach God because the difference of level, the infinite and the finite, cannot meet at any time. So this approaching God comes through this idea of best beloved. So this best beloved is, in a way, what the manifestation represents in terms of being what we can understand of Godhood, of what God represents for us. So this is what we can understand in a way, like as we said also, like the teacher, which is appointed by the headmaster, which teaches us what we can get at any given moment in our learning curve. So best beloved for us in terms of understanding. So when you want to communicate to your children that you like something, how you tell them, so, oh wow, I like this. So I love this. This is my best beloved. In a way, in a high language, you can say best beloved. So in a way, Baha'u'lláh is somehow sharing with us this idea that the manifestations of God are what we can get closest to what is within. And that's the best beloved, because beyond that, there is nothing that we can let's say, relate to, understand, or approach, because we are human beings, we are finite beings, and again, divinity is infinite. I hope.
What about you, Ery? How did you understand this way of describing the manifestation of God, the best beloved?
First of all, thank you very much for invitation for this meeting. And again, forgiving my bad English, but let's go on. Well, I don't know as much I would like to, I don't know the Baha'i Faith. I'm new this doctrine only these days after our contact. Well, but it's impossible to think about a new thing like Baha'i Faith without no comparing for our knowledge. And my let's say my background today, my knowledge today about these things, manifestation of God, is according as I think like a spiritist way. Well, first of all, we need to think about what is manifestation of God in terms generally, not exactly like Baha'i Faith says, but in terms of, for example, adopt of materialist people, they could ask why do we need a voice of God between us? Why do we need the manifestation of God or something like God manifesting between us? Well, first of all, obviously, like a spiritist, we believe and we know that God exists and God is the all-powerful, is the top of everything. So God is above everything. And God is our creation of the universe, etc. But we are here in this material life. And according using only our instruments, we never get beyond the material existence. Science and scientific instruments, nothing can achieve any knowledge beyond the material life. So we need a manifestation, external manifestation from God to us, because from us to God is impossible. We can't do this. We need this revelation from there to here, from God to us. The point is, how is the process of this manifestation? It means how could God manifest to us? How could God can say about the spiritual life, about our immortality, about the eventually new worlds and new planets, new universes, etc. The process, how is the process? How God could tell about us? How could God can speak with us? Well, according Bahá'í Faith, as I wrote these days, the Bahá'í Faith believe that there are a special category or a special class of beings, intermediate class between God and human beings. Well, in terms of spiritism, as I said in our last meeting, I have no sense in these things, considering that a special being is something like a privilege, something a difference, and I believe that as a father, God has created everyone in the same conditions. It means there is God, okay, and below God, there are one unique class of beings, and we can call spirits. And so you and Payam, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, everyone is a spirit. All we are spirits. But according our evolution, step by step, reincarnation after reincarnation, or existence after existence in this world, in another world, doesn't matter. And we need much more and more experiences to get evolution, to get knowledge, to get morality, etc. So in this process, some spirits are more advanced than others. So we can think that Moses, Jesus, Buddha, etc., they are so advanced than me, for example, because they had probably more time, because they have more efforts to evolve than me, and we have in this case, let's say, a great differences between certain spirits. So there are advanced spirits, and there are, let's say, new spirits that who is in the beginning of the course of evolution. In this case, I see that, like, normally God is more accessible, is more near, is more close to the advanced spirits, because they have the capacity, they have the conditions to understand God, to speak with God, to see God, etc. And in this case, these advanced spirits we can consider like the manifestation of God, because it's through these advanced spirits who can receive the voice of God, not directly God, but through these advanced ones, the advanced people.
Wow. So, well, thank you, Ery. You always go so deep, and I like it because eventually you help me to meditate on the different levels. And while I was listening to you, I was thinking about how the human beings have evolved. So what you are saying is it's like a transcendence of evolution of the spirits. So those manifestations, you are saying that they were once like us, but since they had more time to advance, to evolve, they reached a higher state, and they became more near God, and eventually they became the intermediate. So, and the same what we are doing here, and following to and arriving even one day as a manifestation of God, you are saying, right?
Okay.
So it's the same way of thinking of how a human being from a cell became a human. So
exactly.
Payam told that the manifestations of God eventually they are a different kind. Like the plants are different from the animals and different from the human beings. But if you go back, before there was nothing, just minerals and lava and oxygen water, that's it. But then we evolved into an intermediate, speaking about someone, you know. So this is something that when we were still cells, we didn't have this knowledge about God, but now we have. So maybe even the spirits, I think it's the same. That is what is defined as becoming pure, right? We evolve even in the spirit and possibly becoming a manifestation of God. Maybe we are saying too much. We are still like a rock saying, I am going to be a human, but still there is a possibility, because you can find the same kind of minerals that there is in the rock. About the best beloved, what I thought about what Payam said is this. Because when you say the best beloved, it's like now, Bahá'u'lláh, I love you. You are my intermediate today. Go and eventually tell the people. But what about Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, or Krishna? They were beloved then, and now not. Now it's the Bahá'u'lláh, the best beloved. What is this best? You mean in this moment, or in that on that day, or because they were chosen to be the best beloved? Is it like we can put all the manifestations of God as one?
I may interject here. So let's take, there are many concepts that both of you expressed. So let's start from the last one. The question is, can we put the manifestations all as one? The answer is yes. The manifestations, if you know in the Bible, Jesus says, I am the way, and there's no other way to God except me. So what is he talking about? So he's not saying forget about all the manifestations of the past or manifestation of future. He's talking about his mission. He's talking about what he was appointed to teach us at the time when he appeared. This is, so one is that these are all the same. So there is no one which is more best beloved than the other one. Nevertheless, their mission and the intensity by which they manifest the attributes of God vary, not because of their capacity, but because of our capacity. So the way, and I think we already talked about this, that the way we talk to a child, a 4-year-old, is different when we talk about to a junior youth of 14 and so 24 and so on and so forth. So it's not because the father does not know how to speak a complex language, but the child cannot understand. Therefore, the father speaks in the way the child can understand. This is one. So they are the same, but this doesn't mean that they are saying the same thing, because they're coming in different times and they're saying different things, which build on each other, which never contradict each other, but just adds because we need more. They're not in competition between themselves. This is our finite human mind that somehow wants to understand, oh, is this bigger than the other one? The other one is smaller than this. It doesn't exist. They're all one and the same. However, their mission varies. They differ completely because of our needs. And they are here to help us. That's one. Another issue that we were talking about, it was the evolution on this planet and the creation. So when we talk about Big Bang and we say we were one cell and there was nothing, there was nothing, we are talking about evolution on this planet. The creation is as ancient as God. There cannot be a creator without a creation. So as far as God existed, which means that wherever there was a creation. Now, therefore, that is one thing. Now, if we want to talk about this planet in which we are talking about, of course, there was a beginning in which we evolved. However, all the forms that evolved through the evolution on this planet have a specific spirit. It's not that a mineral has somehow the spirit of mineral jumped and became the spirit of a plant. They appeared in different times, it's true. But from the very beginning, the plant or the animal was an animal spirit and a plant spirit. However, that spirit within its realm, it evolves. And there's an evolution of plants, there's an evolution of animals, there's an evolution in the mineral world, and there's an evolution in the human world. Nevertheless, even though the Neanderthal man or the primitive man was different from the man of today in many ways, nevertheless, the spirit animating that creature was always a human spirit. Never ever a human being was an animal that evolved. Because these are distinct categories of spirit, because the outer form is just the result of the spirit which is behind it. Therefore, this idea is that a mineral has a specific spirit, which is that, and the plant, and the animal, and the human being. And now we are saying, again, a manifestation of God, which is animated by a specific spirit, and is not a human being that has evolved into the manifestation of God. It is created with that. And this is how Baha'u'lláh explains this idea of evolution, our planet, and the different categories of spirits that give basically bring into being physical form, being the mineral, being the vegetable, being the animal, human being, and man. And these are all creation. This order is a divine order. It's not something the man understands. And what I'm putting forward is basically the vision that Baha'u'lláh explains, in which God has ordained or ordered his creation, and is based on these principles, and they are all these. Even though the mineral, and another point that you made is that the mineral is within our body, which is very true. Nevertheless, that mineral has now, it makes part of a higher body, which is the spirit that brings about that higher form. Is not more than mineral form. And as you know, all the upper forms, as we go up, for example, an animal has all the qualities in a way of the plant, which is the growth, and the mineral, which is the cohesion, plus the senses or the instincts, which somehow are present also in the plant, but in a very, very small way and different way. So in each realm, there is some specific, let's say, way that this spirit manifests itself, and that creates that realm, which is the animal realm or human realm. Sorry for this lengthy.
Thank you for your explanation, Payam. Do you have any comments, Ery?
So just a minute. I'd like to explain better according as a Spiritism. It's not exactly that the human beings or spirits comes from the minerals. No, it's not exactly. The thing is, there are in the universe and the creation of God two principles: the material principle and the spiritual principle. So material is the ambient, is the habitat, is the where to spirit to manifest itself. So there's no any link in material thing and spiritual, and the intelligent being, the spirits. Even spirits need the material world to manifestate. So, for example, a stone or a wood or a particle of oxygen is not a being, is not a intelligent being, is not there's no soul, in a stone or on a mountain, even on a tree is not a soul. In the material body, the objects, there are we can say a magnetic field, but it's not a soul. It's a relationship of the principle, the material principle. It's a thing like we study in biology and chemical, etc., in physics, etc. But we believe that in the animals we have something intelligent in this case, especially in some types of animals, because there are so many different types of animals. We can see, for example, in a dog, in a cat, and pets in general, much more intelligence than we can see in another animals. But in this case, we can see that the animal kingdom is like a stage, is like a rudimentary school when the intelligence principle starts to develop our sensibility, etc. So after many experiences in these categories, many different categories in the animal kingdom, this principle developed and achieve a special level of intelligence. From this moment, because they developed some special abilities and sensibilities and a type of intelligence. From this moment, this we can call this principle like a soul, and as an intelligent soul, he can be promoted from the animal kingdom to human beings. So in this moment, we can see a link and all the natural system, but we need to divide material world and intelligent world, because it's interesting, because many people think that we are our body, and the Catholic theory, for example, they believe that the soul is unchained from the body. It's a one thing, just because they believe in a resurrection. I forgot the word. Not reincarnate. Resurrect. Excuse me, my friend.
Resurrection.
Yes, resurrection. Resurrection, not reincarnation. In Spiritism, we believe it's simple to understand. I am a spirit, and I use the human body like I use a simple cloth. But the cloth is not me, and the human body is not me. But in the Catholic theory, doctrine, it's different. They believe that there are a sacral link between the body and the soul. to form one, just because they believe that after death, in the heaven or in the hell, the soul needs to take again the same body. So this Catholic theory, it's very strange, but obviously we need to respect.
Let's go on something particular, because Hooper Dunbar say something about many manifestations of God. So let us see here. So let me find. This is 16. 16. Okay.
Realms of creation, spiritual realms, infinite spiritual worlds, and then this endless physical universe, material universe, where Baha'u'lláh makes references. Sometimes there's allusions that you just, it boggles the mind. He talks about how out of this sun of truth, the central orb of the universe, have been generated countless manifestations of God, who address countless, innumerable creatures in all the worlds of God, both the spiritual worlds and endless physical worlds, whose number no man can calculate. When we think of the plenitude and fullness of God, if we look at his creation, he says that he's provided this to us as a mirror of himself.
Wow. Countless manifestations, countless planets. So what do you think about this, Ery, if I may?
Well, Jesus said there are so many places and the house of my Father. I believe in this case, there are so many conditions of life, another planets, even another universes. So the science today is speaking about multiverses. Is according to my thought. It's logical. So look, my friend, someone in our places, in our life, who is beautiful, who is strong, who is so important, materially speaking. They believe, they think that they believe the best thing because they are beautiful or they are so tall, strong. It's very ignorant to compare the being according his body. And I'm thinking after death, so many simple people, maybe someone who is not tall, is very short or ugly, and even not healthy. Someone very ugly, physically speaking, let's say. Maybe in the spiritual life, the spiritual body of these people maybe is more beautiful than much and more and more people who say in this life, oh, what a wonderful people or a wonderful person, because the material beauty. So I think it's very logical to think about many different places where we need to live to experiment many different situations. So we can think in other places where people are not black or white, maybe is blue, like Avatar world, etc. Etc. So there are many conceptions of the world, but there are one interesting thing to think about this, because when you read the Bible, when you read the Genesis book, the scientists, the materialist people, usually depreciate the Genesis narration because they don't understand. As I think, that narrative, the narration of the origins of the universe in the Genesis is not about all the creation of God, but just this simple word. This simple word. So it's a methodic. The Eden Garden, Adam and Eve. So it's a symbol. They are symbol, not literally people and places, but we can think the lost paradise in the Bible and the Genesis. The narration says that Adam and Eve live in a paradise, but because they're evil, because they fall, they were exiled from this heaven, for this Eden garden, Eden garden, Eden garden, or Eden garden, the Eden garden. But where is the Eden garden? Maybe another planet, maybe another universe. So Adam and Eve they are a symbol maybe of a people who was exiled from this place and became a new world here in so bad and so hard conditions to re-educate themselves after many experience of life.
What do you think, Payam?
Well, the physical universe is infinite. We are now, science is discovering more and more. And the spiritual universe is also infinite. There are infinite worlds of God, which are not non-material. Let's say when we talk about physical and spiritual, we're talking about material and non-material, basically. So in this condition that we are, our spirit is connected, is associated to physical form. So it's like the mirror and the light. So the mirror reflects in the light reflects in the mirror. Therefore, we see light coming out of the mirror, but the mirror itself doesn't have the light. So it's the same thing with our spirit and our body here. This mirror at one point becomes obsolete and breaks. Therefore, it doesn't mean that the light is not there anymore. The source of light is still there. So it's our spirit, and that will continue in infinite worlds of God to grow and evolve. Now, as we see, in its love and justice, God has not left us alone here, saying, look, I have created you, go into this material universe, good luck, trial and error, go through infinite suffering in order that you, by trial and error, you will find your way perhaps. And one day, hopefully, after millennia of trial and error and suffering, you will become what I intended. That would be really, I don't know, it's like saying, okay, to your child, my child, you are now 2-year-old, God bless you, now this is it, go out and do whatever you want to do, because this is it. You try and you fail and you see and you learn. No, we have invented the educational system for years. We go through its educational system, and all three of us here have gone through that. Otherwise, we will have this conversation together in order to be able to express our potentials. This is the same thing that the God, in his love for mankind and in his justice for us, have given us tools which are the manifestations of God, which is his instructions, booklet of instructions for this material world, which is given to us to a pure form through manifestations of God to help us navigate through this world. So this idea is that this is part of love and justice of God. Otherwise, if there aren't a manifestation of God, we are dealing with an unkind creator, which has created us and threw us in this material world and saying, good luck, now do whatever you want, go through endless suffering. No, the idea is that I have the booklet of instructions, but nevertheless, I'm free to follow it or not. This is absolutely what God has given us. Therefore, in all the creation, so this is the concept, the basic concept of the manifestations of God. Of course, the physical universe is infinite. So in this tiny planet, we are us, and we have our own manifestations, our own tutors, our own educators from the Creator. But in many other planets, there are many other creatures which are not based on carbon, which is our planet, but they are based on other, and according to their own creation, they have their own existence and their own guides, their own tutors, their own manifestations of God. Therefore, as God is infinite, there are infinite creatures, and there are infinite educators for those creatures, because God has not left us alone. So this idea of manifestation is not somehow something alien, but it is only logically part of our creation. Without that, we would be left like children into the wilderness. And you know that what happens, you know, that there were some children which were lost in the jungle. When they found them when they were adults, they were not able to speak as we speak. We think that, oh, you know, if you leave the children or if you leave a human being, it will develop. No, I'm very sorry. This will not happen. So we need educators. We need education. And we need perfect educators, which are the manifestations of God, which come here to help us to grow. Without those, we would be like those children that become adults in the jungle, and they're never even able to speak. They make the sound of whatever is around them. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to look at this logically, but I know that we have a problem, because human beings we think that justice means that everything is equal, everything is the same. This is not justice. So in terms of justice is that we have a way to be educated. Justice is that we give education to our children. Without that, our children cannot develop. And how can we, as a human race, develop and arrive to this level of advancement? Do you think that this is by chance? Do you think that this is just because we are clever? I believe that definitely this is due to the existence of perfect educators, which are educators perfectly in the realm of individual, in the realm of society, and in the realm of spiritual reality, which they bring us principles that helps us to grow and advance swiftly and quickly and with less suffering and less traumatic experiences than as if we were left alone by ourselves without educators.
Well, thank you, Payam. And you remind me about the recent James Webb Space Telescope, you know? Do you know about it?
Yes.
And
But,
please let me
Okay.
do this,
Okay.
Ery. And they are searching light years ahead, and they cannot find, or at least surely, that there are those human beings, there is a manifestation of God there, or had happened there. We are not alone. And you know, we are just one of thousands or millions of other planets suffering into a sphere. But why we are not finding these countless creations, even though we can see the stars, the galaxies, they are there. You look at the sky and they are there. But the human being, they are trying to literally make a concrete answer about this. Where are those countless beings? Where are they? And this is something that it's interesting, that we are trying to make this even beyond, because we are trying to go, yes, we are spirits, not human like body, but not just that. There are so many other planets, so many places to live there. We are better than NASA and their billions investments. The manifestation of God no better than all the people in the NASA corporation. How is it possible? You know, it's something really, really interesting what we are contemplating here. And also, I would like to ask this question that came up for Payam in particular. Is there a benefit for the manifestation of God for us as people who are imperfect, right? For them to grow, or for some reason they have a kind of benefit, like those people who, let's say, who are highly educated in this planet. And if there are so many perfect beings in this planet, the planet will be destroyed. And together with the people who are educated. So is there a reason why those manifestations are teaching us? Is it just for us or also for them?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So the teachings are for us because they are perfect, so they don't need to evolve. This is said already. However, why they do it, that's another question, and that is because that is the purpose of their creation, right? So they were created to be educators. So they fulfill the purpose of their creation. So they cannot not do it. They do it to a great suffering because they are fully aware of the entirety of the physical and non-physical or spiritual reality, while we are only partially aware of that. And we, because we have partial information, we act in a very immature way, not because of anything, because we have not evolved or we don't have complete information. Nevertheless, because that is a mission entrusted, or this is why they were created by the Creator. That is why they do it, and they do it perfectly, because they have been created to do that, and that is why they do it.
Wow. Okay. You wanted to say something, Ery? Because I
Yes.
spoke to you.
I like the Payam speaking when talk about education, because yes, we believe in Spiritism that there's no evolution without education, and we are talking about not the scientific education, but especially morality education, the virtues. So we can believe that the universe needs a hierarchy, and many each orb, each planet, each star in the universe has a command, intelligent command. So we can believe that Earth, for example, is a planet which we can call a school for everyone, maybe a hospital for ones, maybe a prison for others, but in all the cases, a school for everyone. We are here to get evolution, and to get evolution, we need education. So we need inspirations, spiritual inspirations. We need the voice of God. We need the voice of nature. We need this manifestation, as we talk about. We need the higher explanation, higher inspiration, because we can't do for ourselves. We need from an external help. We need a spiritual one from there to here. In this case, I can say more. I believe that each space, each planet, each local in the world has a special a special person responsible for it. We can believe, for example, we can say the planet Earth has a government. We can speak. In Spiritism, many spirits say about Jesus like our government. Jesus is the responsible for the earth education. So Jesus is the person choice for God. So God chooses Jesus to administer, to manage the education in earth. So Jesus is this government. Even into the planet, we can see that maybe any nature, in any country or any big city or any single place has a manager, a spiritual manager, who work with many other spirits to manage the evolution of these places. And like Jesus said, and the Spiritist revelation says, that each person, each one has a guardian angel. Yes, we have a spirit more experienced than us. Each one has at least one guardian angel. We can say that this angel is this guardian angel is a voice of God. It's not God. It's not God, but a voice of God is responsible to transmit the message. But following this hierarchy, in Earth, Jesus, maybe another planet, it's another Christ. Just because Christ, the word Christ, is not a surname, it's not a name, it's a title, is for example, is not it's not a surname. Adam Smith, Smith a surname. Jesus Christ, is a title. It's not a surname. So the Christ, we can see the Christ of Earth, like we can say the Christ of Jupiter or Mars, etc. In another places where the life is in develop. But you talk about the James the telescope, James Webb, and many people are asking why we don't we find another beings, the other places, for example, in the fiction and the Asian people thought that in Mars, in the planet Mars, Mars, the planet Mars has the Martians, and the fiction create this. But we know today that probably there's no life in Mars, but there's no life according we understand life in the layer we can imagine in this universe there are in the same place, this universe, there are many layers of lives, and maybe we can see that type of life. For example, the science says that there are many types, many layers of light. There are I don't know the word, but there are many channels, many layers of light that we can see with our eyes, but through certain instruments we can see the determinate layers, determinate type of light. So there are, it's possible that even in this universe there are many types, many layers, many channels of light that we can see with our eyes or with our tools of scientific material tools. But maybe one day we can receive a window from one universe to this universe, or maybe the one planet to this.
In the Spirit's book, there is a mentioning that eventually there are spirits on every planet, even on the sun, on the moon, on every sphere. There are spirits, and they need to change their clothes, kind of, right?
Yes.
So like the same, like we change when we go from summer to winter, or we go to another place. We need to change the clothes, or even when we go underwater, right? So it's something that it's interesting, because the Baha'i is mentioning there is countless of manifestations, and at the same time, the Spiritism is saying that eventually the spirits are everywhere, and they are focusing in particular on the spheres. It doesn't mean maybe, I don't know about the comet or the meteorites, but they are saying that particularly the spheres are particular for the spirits. I don't know. So this is something that we have a logic that, we wake up, we will go to work, we sleep, but what we can do on the sun, So this is something that we need to contemplate, but let's focus on the manifestation for now, because that is something that I want to go there. But I think the manifestation of God, there is a particular hint there. There is a secret. because it's the intermediate. We should not look anywhere but to there. You know, you look into the mirror so you can see beyond, but of course our eyes are limited. So let's listen to Hooper about the voice of God. Is it okay for you, Payam? So let me share.
The manifestation. The first station, he says in another passage, which is related to his innermost reality, representeth him as one whose voice is the voice of God himself. To this testifieth the tradition, Islamic tradition. Manifold and mysterious is my relationship with God. I am he himself, and he is I myself, except that I am, and he is that he is. Did you get that one? I am he himself, and he is I myself, except that I am, and he is that he is.
Wow. You know, I am what I am, and he is what he is. And still they are connected and linked as if they were one. And this is putting me in a mediumship vision. There are people like using an seance that the spirit kind of consciously possess the body and speak through this body, and they can even change the tone, they can change the language, and it's like a possession, a temporary possession and a conscious possession. There is also an unconscious through those the exorcism that they speak about the Catholics. But eventually, this is what I am understanding. It's like the manifestation. It's like possessed by the Spirit of God. And even though he is not, he is through this channel. So I know that these kind of manifestations in terms of possession, I think, I don't know about Ery, but because he studied mediumship much more than me for sure, I don't know if you eventually experienced it directly, like you really went in a mediumship and you saw this manifestation of a possession happening consciously. Please, Ery.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I had my personal experience, and so it's so different. It's so hard to explain, and each one needs to have ourselves for itself, the manifestation to understand, because it's very strange, it's so complicated to explain. But we see this connection, as you said. There are a link among all the universe. We have a link, but we know that each one has our conscience. So it's exactly like Hooper said. We feel that we like the universe, but you has your individuality, because you can feel sometimes the difference, the the meaning of the teachings, for example. So I know, or I feel, I believe, when the idea is for myself, but sometimes we feel a different idea. It's not when a medium say, "Oh, I'm listening, I'm spirited," and he's talking to. It's not a voice, a material voice, but you feel. It's hard to explain, but you feel there are a type of voice, a spiritual voice, and this voice is different from you. It has an idea that you never thought again. So you can separate, or sometimes we can separate what is from you and what is from an external voice. So because we can recognize the superiority of this voice sometimes, and it's not a voice, it's much more, it's a feeling. So it's so difficult to explain. I compare mediumship like a food. I can talk to you a recipe, the ingredients the way to prepare. I can give you let's say the part theoric of the food, and you can receive this, but the experience to eat this food is it's personal. I can say, oh, take eggs, take this, take that, do this way, this, okay. I can talk about the benefits of these ingredients, etc. So I can talk about the theory, but the experience to feel, to eat this food it's yours. Just because someone say, I love this food, and another say, I hate this food. But what's wrong? Each one has our experience. So, but we can see in mediumship, and I believe the majority times, we can see when who is you and who is the other person or the other force. It's not exactly a person, it's a force, it's a energy, it's much more we can talk about. So in these terms, we can feel that we are like, we're part of God, but I'm not God and God is not me. God is God, but there are a link between us, and this link is so special and hard to say. So it's very difficult to say.
What do you think, Payam, about mediumship in this case also? And if you want to comment further.
Well, I think, I have no competence to talk about the mediumship, so I'm afraid that this is not the case. But it was very interesting what Ery was sharing, because I have experienced these inspirations that he's talking about, things that you say yourself, and you then immediately you think, oh, I never thought of that before. So where is it coming from? This is something that I have experienced many, many times when we're talking, because our intelligence is external to us. It's not what we, so in a way, we are mirrors, and these mirrors reflect the light. And somehow we see that light and we say, wow, what is this? And that is the light that we are reflecting as mirrors. Our soul is this mirror. So every mirror is different. Every mirror has different capacity to reflect. Some are more, some are bigger, some are smaller, whatever it is, and that's fine. And some, nevertheless, when they are small, they're so clean because that they reflect more than huge ones. So it's all the circumstances, but nevertheless, we are all mirrors and we all reflect this power that is external to us, which is our soul, which has been created by the Creator. Therefore, we are connected with the Creator, not in a direct way, but in that indirect way. So this is our condition. So we receive the inspiration, we receive this, which is external to us, we think external to us. But in a way, what is external to us is our reality, which is not material, and that's it. So it cannot be energy because energy is material. It cannot be force because force is a power, again, is material. So it's something beyond the order. That's why Ery very clearly says, I cannot explain it, because the words cannot explain something which is beyond them. And this is exactly the difficulty that the manifestations of God have to describe for us the spiritual reality in words that we can understand. And this is why Baha'u'lláh says, I am one with him, except for that he is who he is and I am who I am. So, which means that in a way, the manifestations of God have two stations. One is the station of being perfect mirrors. So when we look at the mirror, we can light, we say, this is the light of God, and we see perfectly what is reflected to us. But nevertheless, there are another station is that they are mirrors. Nevertheless, they are not actually generating that light. They are reflecting that light. They're reflecting it in a perfect way, just as we reflect it in an imperfect way. So in this way, we can all understand that whatever it is to us that we experience in this life is external to us, is not our. So this is what I can see that goes very close to what maybe there is called mediumship, but I definitely agree that there are our intelligence is external to whatever it is, and even though, for example, when we get old and it seems that our intelligence is clouded, nevertheless, the source of that intelligence, which is our spirit, is perfectly integral, is not diminished at all, is not, but just because our body, the receiver, is not functioning as it should be, is not receiving it as before. Therefore, this is one idea that came to me while I was listening to what Ery was saying. And the other one is that, this idea of the manifestation is just, this is exactly what Baha'u'lláh is explaining, this idea of perfect mirrors. So this dual nature. And we can a little bit understand ourselves too. I can say, oh, I am the son of my father, but I'm a father of my son. So I am one with my father because I'm coming from there, and then but I am who I am and he is who he is. This is definitely something that, so we can a little bit understand in a very limited way. Of course, it's much bigger because what we're talking about is a much expanded reality, which is the spiritual reality than the physical one. But in the physical one, always we find a smaller comparison that we can help us to understand what it is, but that Baha'u'lláh is trying to explain with this wonderful phrase that I am one with him, but he is who he is, and I am who I am. So it is basically.
Wow. Thank you, Payam. And according to the Baha'i Faith, because I know from the Spiritist view that actually they encourage mediumship, right, Ery? It's part of the Spiritist faith of communicating with the good spirits or with the spirit of truth, right? What about the Baha'i Faith? Do you think, or according to what Baha'u'lláh states, that we should actually practice mediumship or not?
Yeah, this is something that we need to define this idea of mediumship. So, Baha'u'lláh revealed many prayers. And he said that, if you look into his writings, he says there is this idea of people up there in the spiritual realm. He calls them conquerors on high, this huge group of people. They're saying that they are waiting there for us to do something here, to come to our aid, to ask them to help us. So in a way, or when we say our prayers, when we said the prayer at the beginning, what are we doing? Weren't we communicating with a higher entity? Or when we meditate, aren't we listening to the voice of God? According to what is the revelation of Baha'u'lláh, what we read of his writings is as if God was speaking to us. And of course, as Ery said before, all the manifestations, mainly, they were concerning themselves with the virtues, with the moral reality, not with the physical one, because the physical one, it is left to the evolution, to science. Of course, they inspire also that they release this spiritual energy, which, like springtime, makes everything to flourish, including sciences, including arts. But mainly they concern themselves with our inner life, with our spiritual reality. So this is the role of the manifestations of God. From one side, they release this external, as Ery also said, this concept, which is wonderful, which we all need external help to grow. And everything that happens in the physical world too is because some form of energy made it happen, something made it happen. It doesn't happen by itself. Physics very well explains this. This is also true in the spiritual reality, unless there is energy, let's say some spiritual energy. So the manifestations of God are also the bringers or the perfect channels that bring this energy to this world. It is diffused in the world, and like the springtime, everything flourishes. So that is one reason why they come. And then the second one is, of course, to educate us. And all this energy is to enable us to advance, enable us to go forward. And of course, what happens after, it's all about this idea of the energy that was released and the teachings that were given and our readiness to follow. I make a small example. Baha'u'lláh, when he appeared in 1868, or he wrote to the governors of the world at that time, the rulers, and he told them, look, you need to come together, set aside your differences, and try to do the best that is for all your citizens. You need to unite. This was his counsel. Of course, he was not a general to take an army and go and conquer countries to do that. But this is what the manifestations of God do. They show us the way. Now, what happened? Humanity did not listen to that. So what happened is that we had World War I, World War II, and unimaginable suffering since then, just because we did not choose the path to unity. It is as simple as that. It's not about believing in this, believing in that, or it's very, very tangible, this. So we can keep saying, no, is this or that or the other, or we can sit down and say, look, what is this? What are the, now, if it's the voice of God, if it's not, what are the teachings? Do they apply today? Do they solve the difficulties and problems that we have today? Is there a practical way to achieve this? If it is, let's examine it and put it into practice so we can advance faster and with less problems. If not, then we can always go our own way and do things like we always did and
so
head to the Third World War.
What I understood from what you said, and you always explain so beautiful, that even though mediumship is possible with any kind of spirit, we should disregard spirits that are not manifestations? Why we should look at a mirror that is dirty when we can look at the polished mirror? No?
Yes, the thing is this, that there are, okay, if I want to go, let's say, oh, very good. You can teach your son and your daughter. Is it correct, Alex? But you send them to school.
Yes.
That there's a teacher and they follow the teacher, right? It's the same thing. I'm not saying that they should disregard you, what you're saying. I'm saying that there is a teacher, there's a system in place, and you, because you trust that system, you are sending your kids to school to do that. So it's the same thing. We do not disregard. We connect to I pray to my grandfather for help, or to my friend, or I try to, to connect in a way, but it's a personal thing. You know what I mean? I can pray for the advancement of the soul of one of my friends who passed away last month.
But this
isn't that connecting?
I understand, but it's like I am asking you to help me on something about car engines. You know, I know you don't know, you know the basic, but you're not an engineer on car engines.
Of course.
But if I know someone who actually builds engines, why should I ask Payam? I should go directly to the manifestation of the engine. So this is something that, yes, we can choose, but are we choosing wisely? Why we should communicate with the spirit of our grandfather when we can try to use the time and even communicate with the spirit of Bahá'u'lláh in terms of like, let's read this prayer. Let's see what he's trying to say to us. That is your kind of mediumship that maybe you are translating, right?
Yeah, in a way it is, because the idea is that it's a very good example, the one of our grandfathers or any other spirit, because of course we are human beings, and as we were saying before, it's a question of understanding things in one way or another. If we are understanding that this is a perfect mirror, now why should I, let's say, look into other mirrors? I look into other mirrors. I learn a lot of things from you, from Ery, from anyone else. This is when we look into the mirrors of human beings, we are all imperfect. That doesn't mean that we cannot learn things from each other. But nevertheless, if I want to look, it's the question of purity also of what I see. You know, it is, I know that this is pure. Now, the thing is this, that this has a catch though, because what happens is that, for example, when we look into the Bible has been not written by Jesus himself. So it is an account of the apostles, which has been passed from one person to the other, and 200 years after his passing, there was the Bible that was assembled and put together. Even though wonderful book, and we believe that this is the word of God, we are not sure if those were exactly the words of Jesus or not, and because of the historical circumstances. Now, if then we start looking and interpreting and trying to understand, it becomes a bit fuzzy in a way and difficult to decipher. With the revelation of Baha'u'lláh, because it's so close, and we have the original tablets, and we can go back with his own handwriting, there are seals on them. So it's not even a comma has been changed. So we can try to read that to understand what is God communicating to us today, in order to be able to base our understanding, our life, our actions on those. So here it's not a question of interpretation. Of course, you read it, Ery reads it, I read it, we understand differently, which is wonderful, and we share understanding with each other, so we have a better understanding. Nevertheless, those words remain the same. So they are universally applicable to any human being. And in this case, there isn't a doubt that, okay, is this exactly what he wanted to say, or maybe there is a different version, or maybe it has been changed in translation, or it has been, we have the original one. So this helps us to have a reliable source of information. And this is important too. This never happened before, I must say. In the history of mankind, this is the first time that we have the exact words spoken by the manifestation of God without the filter of human beings.
Not even the Quran, you mean?
The Quran was written by Muhammad, but we are not sure about it. On the skin of the process was different. The Quran is very reliable, but nevertheless, even that one is not 100% sure of what happened in transcription and things like that. The thing is this, that with the revelation of Baha'u'lláh, we have the original handwritings of Baha'u'lláh or his secretary and his seal of approval that this is what I am telling you. And the originals ones, and anything that doesn't have any seal of him or is not authentic is not, let's say, accepted as one can read it as one reads anything else, but that's fine. So this is the first time that we have a reliable source of information, which doesn't bring division between us. Of course, we understand it differently according to our capacity and our understanding and our evolution and so on and so forth. That's great. This is individuality. But the source is one and universal for everyone in a way that never before it has been. So this avoids all the divisions, all the corruption of the text that can be, or the teaching. It gives us to a purer form to us. So this is something that helps us, because if we think then of the past revelations, we can always have this doubt. Is it this that actually he was saying, he was not saying? We are not sure. So your guess is as good as mine. I can see, I totally agree, for example, with Ery when he's saying that the Bible is metaphorical and can't take it literally. And that's absolutely right. But someone can say, you need to take it literally, which we don't have. But then in terms of the writings of Baha'u'lláh, we have the perfect direction of how to go about.
Wow, thank you very much for your explanation. And it's when I get into the Baha'i Faith, you said because I was very materialistic and logic, and you said about the idea of the operating system. So Baha'u'lláh is the newest operating system that you can have. All the operating systems in the past, he recognized. But eventually, we should follow the updated version. Why should we use the version that is kind of expired? We cannot say like that, but actually, it's there is something missing that eventually Baha'u'lláh revealed for this day. So what do you think about this, Ery, and what he said about mediumship? We are going to conclude after you. Okay, and please, if you can comment on what Payam said, you're welcome as well.
Definitely, obviously, I don't know Baha'i Faith very well, but definitely what I know about, I can say that it's a beautiful doctrine. Maybe we have different versions of the process of things, for example, about the manifestation of God, but the purpose is very beautiful, and it's good to know this new knowledge, and just because I say thank you very much for this opportunity, Payam and Alex. But according my experience of mediumship, there are many things to say. For example, first of all, the mediumship is not a choice from me or you is from there to us. So even an old man, a woman, a child, or a poor, a rich, it doesn't matter. Maybe you are Islamic, Jude, or a Catholic, doesn't matter. If God alone and one spirit who has the power for do this, if a spirit wants to manifestate on you or everyone, he does. And there are so many many types of manifestation, and God, as I understand, and God allows this type of manifestation because in this process to receive and to give our communication, there are a process of education. So imagine when I'm deaf, obviously, maybe I would like I will want to manifestate for someone, maybe for my wife, or my child, to give an advice or etc. And if I have the chance, maybe I too. So there are too many spirits, as I believe, there are too many spirits that wants to communicate for his friends or relatives, etc. And or to particular things or to general things. Imagine a good scientist who was very materialist. Now he is dead. So they think to himself, oh my God, I lost many time of my life. I want to help my friends, scientists, just because they need to understand that God exists. I want to help them for this search, for this exam about this progress in this case. So there are many types of manifestations, and in this process, again, is a way to get evolution, and exactly in this case to test our capacity to educate, because of course there are professional teachers, there are professors, special people dedicated to this. But even I want to become a teacher. So in this case, mentorship is a kind of to graduating in these things. Just because, for example, the spirit of light who communicate with us today, a long time ago, there was in the other side. They received the message, they tested to explain, to teach and others, and they became a spirit of life just because they does the communication. So there are a special process in this case, and there are many types of manifestations. There are evidence, a so clear evidence when you see, maybe you sometimes you feel your hand is warm, and a desire, a physical desire to take a pen to write, and is just because there are a spirit to take your hands and create a physical effects, and they take your hand and you write. But there are many soft manifestation, and the spirit will tell to you, and you can't see who and where. You don't feel nothing physically, but the message is all just through the intelligence. But there are many types of, as I said, the physical manifestation, and even the materialization of spirits. I never saw this case, but I have friends to participate the season, since in this case there are from the medium go out a type of gas from the noise, and this gas form a physical thing. Sometimes a form of one person or one an object, a flower, or a part of the bottle, a hand, etc. There are many types of manifestation, and in this case, it's beautiful to hear Mr. Hooper talk about the inspiration of manifestation of God. You really need to ask for this inspiration of manifestation of God. Are they special beings? I don't know. One day we see, but it doesn't matter for today. The most important is we need the message. We need the inspiration, because what this world can do to us? Just material things. We need much more than material things. Material science, technology. We need inspiration to virtues, to morality, and where we can find this? Only from the spirituality, only for God. But how does God do this manifestation? We see one day. According to Spiritism, we spirits, and the best, according to this doctrine, we, you and me and everyone can participate this process. We can become the voice of God. According to Bahá'í Faith is a special base. Let's see one day. But the most important is that we believe and we can receive this God, this inspiration of God. Just because it's very nice to hear Mr. Cove, it's very nice to hear you, my friend Payam.
Wow, Eric. I love your passion when you speak. You go so much there. Yeah, and just to finish this about the manifestations, and the prayer and the mediumship, you remind me about my, let's say, my teenage, and I always am that particular person who wants to go beyond, and in years I became like the jack of all trades. I can do this, I can do that, and at a certain point in time, which I didn't believe in God, I said, I'm a wise man. I'm a very wise man. And then when I discovered the idea of God, spirit, and say how arrogant I am, how selfish. And I understood that even though I still call myself, I don't know how to pray, when I wanted to do something great, I had my own way of praying. Could be simple, like, please help me do this thing. Please help me. And I receive, and I do, and I manifest with my hands. And my wife always is crazy, why always doing something? And when I go, today I'm deeply connected with this place, and I understand that, as you say, there is an external source. And I am just sharing with you a very recent story that it happened to me just in these 3 days. And I was passing by a street, and I looked at a shop. And the shop was an auto parts shop. And I used to go there 3-4 years ago, I don't know. But something told me this shop. Okay. And I went home. And when I parked, someone told me, check how much kilometers you have in the car. Because I always zero when I do the service. And I checked. And I told my wife, oh, this is done. I need to do the service. Okay, when I can, it happens that tomorrow I am free. And I did. What happened is, I thought it was going to be something simple. And then I understood that there was a belt almost breaking. And it wasn't making any problems, nothing at all. But when I did the service, I realized that this could end up in an engine failure. This could end up in a disaster. So just today I went to run to this same shop because I couldn't find. I tried to find the nearby. They gave me the wrong one, and I had to go back. And this guy told me, you need to go to that place. And I went, and he had. And I changed it, and the problem was solved. So the external source guided me. It's time to do this. We think it's us, but we are the receivers of this knowledge. We think that we are the knowledge, but we are the receivers of the knowledge. We can process it, but we are not the one creating it. We are being suggested. And eventually we then do, it's complicated, but it's not just about us. Who arrived at a certain level, you know, I became President of America. Do you think you became alone, President of America? No one helped you. Just you. You were like the one. I don't think so. And I think everyone in all levels, there is external help. So, wow. So much beautiful, so much beautiful. So next, what we can discuss, we had last points about the physical nature of the manifestation of God. He speaks about diamonds, the soul of the manifestation of God. And he also mentioned, Hooper, about the angel prophecy of Muhammad and why we should follow more Bahá'u'lláh as the direct instead of the messenger of the angel, and the divine impulse and the peals of thunder. Okay, but this is going to be on the next coming session. Okay, so thank you very much, Payam and Ery. We are eventually manifesting this also to the public. So through the Spiritism and the Baha'i Faith, through these words, we are connecting and we are communicating. We are an external source as well, in a certain way, through the internet, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Wow, it was always a beautiful session, always a beautiful session to speak about beyond. You know, sometimes it's so boring to speak always on the, you know, who won this game. You know, this is something more interesting. I know sometimes we go deep and it gets complicated, but we are here to try our best to simplify and make ourselves understand, and also together the people understand some tiny weeny little better than what they had before this session. Okay, so thank you very much. It was a wonderful session, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Alex. Thank Payam.
Wow.